my phone and by the computer. So would you please take roll?
Ms. Atkins.
Here.
Mr. Hendricks.
Here.
Mr. Houston.
Here.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Here.
Mr. Stoffer.
Here.
Mr. Wyledge.
Here.
Mrs. Shuffle.
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the April 5th, 2021 agenda?
So moved.
Second.
And with that, with the agenda, we do have a closed session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation. Do you want that in closed session, Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Knos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if it's okay with the board, we'll go ahead and go through discussion items. We do have another closed session at 7:05, and we'll go into that, come out, and then do action items, and then come back for the eval closed session. All right, if that's okay with everyone, any discussion? Vote, please.
Ms. Atkins.
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks.
Yes.
Mr. Houston.
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer.
Yes.
Mr. Wyledge.
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle.
Yes. Commendation and good news.
Dave?
Yes, I do have a couple items tonight. And I've shared this document with you. First of all, the first item is from Molly Pettit, high school language arts teacher. And the creative writing class has gone a different direction this year, getting their writing out in front of the public. So that link is to a website that they have put together where they're publishing their writing constantly, continually. So I encourage you to go there and check out their great work. The second item was an item that Josh added to the agenda. It's about the 8th grade leadership group and the work that they did with the 712 initiative. Some great pictures there. Some great things. Our kids are just doing some great things, put it that way. And I would also add a reminder about our Flipboard magazine. This magazine it's like the 3-ring binder of everything Lewis Central. So if you ever want to find out what's going on, the Flipboard link will take you there. That's it.
Thanks, Dave. You know, I just want to commend our kids and any opportunities for them to be involved in the 712 initiative. I attend those meetings, and I'm just really impressed with the pride that group has in the Council Bluffs community, and trying to make sure that the community's heading in the right direction, and you know, that more projects around the city are continuing to build and attract more. They're very connected to the real estate market. It's just an impressive group, and I think you go to one of their meetings and you realize that because of at least their efforts and the efforts of a lot of other folks, but there are neat things to come, and to know that our kids are involved in that is, you know, that's something that's going to last forever, for them to know that they were part of that conversation, part of that hands-on effort, or mini effort. So kudos to them and the teachers that are engaged.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Commendation, good news? All right, thank you. We'll go on to comments and suggestions. This is a portion of our agenda that we can have anyone in the audience or who is tuning in online. They can type in anything they would like to address to the board.
All right, now.
All right, thank you. All right, hearing none, we'll go on to consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Do we have an updated personnel sheet?
We do. There are 2 additional items in section B and section E.
Is the math teacher approved to teach college level?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's has been teaching college level, and there is one course that the community college is requiring her to be involved in right now to kind of bring her up to date, but she'll be fully certified to teach what we need her to teach.
Great.
And Linda was a teacher for us before, also she's returning to the area.
Good question, though.
Good news, yeah.
Yes. Any other questions or discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Reports, 6.01, COVID updates.
Yeah, couple of things to share. Good news is that we continue to maintain our low numbers. We constantly have positive cases in the district. I looked back after a conversation today to realize that we have not been absent totally of positive cases since the beginning of the school year. We've been dealing with positive cases. Now, we have had times where it's been more with staff or more with students, or a time when it's a combination of both. And fortunately, lately, we've been able to keep those at, minimum. And, but, one comes off and one comes on, and there's still a little bit of nervousness because, as I had shared in the past, the UK variant is, I don't know if prevalent's the right word, but it is in the area, and we do know that there have been some kids who have tested positive for that. And I talked with Public Health today, and what he shared with me, today's positivity rate, by the way, the 2-week is at 10.6%. And just to give you an idea of the trajectory, the 7-day average is 12.4%. That's going back up, and I think when we get into double digits, it's starting to be a little alarming, to me anyway, and hopefully that makes sense why it would be. Matt Wyant said that the uptick consists of, they had 211 cases, positive cases last week. The week prior to that, it was 166, and the week prior to that, it was 26. So I did inquire last week, and in this update, Matt didn't share this with me. I asked him if they attributed that, quite honestly, I hope they were gonna say there's a certain hospital or nursing home or something like that, but it's pretty random throughout the county. I think heaviest here in the Council Bluffs area, but not relative to one thing. And when I talked to them last week, they didn't know if that was a direct relation to the UK variant. Now, not to alarm everybody, because again, the good news is we're not seeing that internally, and we hope that it stays that way. We hope that spike in the county is short-lived. I don't know that that's being reported much. I don't know that people are aware of the fact that there is that spike in our county that everybody's keeping an eye on. But again, we'll continue to do what we are doing, and per the board's direction with our mitigation efforts to stay constant. I will inform you that I continue to occasionally get comments and suggestions from folks who want us to relax our mitigation efforts. There are some who claim to represent others who are pretty adamant that they want our mask mandate relaxed. Oftentimes they reference other school districts. A lot of times those other school districts are in counties and or beyond the Council Bluffs area. But I just want the board to be aware of that, and as I often tell parents, that I haven't received any information from our board suggesting that we should go beyond the recommendations of Public Health, which is what we've consistently done all year. And in the same communication from Matt Wyant from Public Health today, he says the information that holds up is that face covering, social distancing, and good hand hygiene do work, and that remains their recommendation. I will say that if, you know, if one thing has gotten a little lax over time, it's probably the social distancing effort, and I think that's probably because, first of all, it's very hard to accomplish. Second of all, because we learned throughout the first part of the year that the masks were very effective, and what a lot of folks, I don't think, realize is that the masks keep us from quarantining tens of 20s, of 30s, 40s, 50s, even over hundreds of kids. Because if you've had direct exposure to somebody that ends up as a positive, but you've had a mask on, we don't quarantine them per public health. If they didn't have mask on, you know, you consider a kid that's been in school all day, if it's a high school kid, every class that they've been in, all the kids sitting around them are going to be quarantined, potentially the teacher's going to be quarantined. Lunch is always an issue anyway because the masks come down and they eat, and depending how long they sit there, if it's the 15 minutes or greater, anybody on a bus that's around them would be quarantined. So even with we've seen a little bit of an uptick in our quarantine numbers. We're up in we've been up in the 30s area, and it kind of fluctuates, and it's usually a little lower on a Monday, and it starts ticking back up. But those are some of the benefits to mask wearing that a lot of folks don't understand. There are parents that report that they think they're unhealthy for their children. Some think that the masks contribute to what they see as signs of depression in their children. They think that the mask not being able to see smiles and you know, those, I guess, those facial acknowledgments of kids. Others report other negative health effects from the mask. Now, I have to be honest, that's not in large numbers. I'm not inviting large numbers to bring that information forward, but I just feel an obligation to always make sure the board understands the conversations that I've been having, and clearly, if any point in time the board wants to direct me to go away from following the guidance of public health or to challenge me to think differently, then I need to hear that. Otherwise, I'm going to continue giving my reports and expect and assume that if there were a recommended change, that I would hear from the board otherwise. But hopefully, you know, Anna Boehm said it best today when she said to me, she said, you realize we've been plugging through, we've got 2 more months of this school year, then hopefully that will be the end of it. And if you think of it that way, and, you know, barring, hopefully the vaccinations can get on top of things. Matt did also share that while we feel good about vaccines rolling, he did share that only 16,000 residents in Pot County are fully vaccinated. I thought it would have been a lot more than that by now. An additional 8,000 have had 1 shot of the 2-shot regimen. And we're just now getting, he says, to the 16 and older age group, and he assumes 6 months and older will be after that. So we could be at that crux where vaccinations could really make a difference, but we're not there yet, even though it feels like a lot of people have been vaccinated, because we hear about it a lot. So again, that's where we're at, and I just always want to be very forthcoming with the things that I'm hearing. I will say that overall, I hear continually very positive things about our efforts and the fact that we've been able to be a school district that has not closed one day for COVID this school year.
Correct. I wonder in those counts, because I got my vaccine through work in Omaha, so there might be some with that.
Yeah, I
wouldn't
agree.
be counted, because I don't think, I just showed my badge. I don't think I had to say where I lived or anything like that. So hopefully more are vaccinated,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
and we can get a handle on this.
Has there been any discussion, now that they're opening up the vaccination level to a younger population, of looking at offering a vaccination site at the school to
I'm
easily accommodate students? And
That obviously
population?
would come from public health, Bob, and I think Matt Wyatt knows that we are 100% cooperative with anything like that. I think, you know, they called us last week for the clinic that they had on Saturday, begging for the availability of our nurses, because they were short people to administer the vaccine. So I think that that's probably why, other than, you know, expanding out to the Hy-Vees and such, why the clinics from public health have been specifically in one location, because they don't have the ability and the manpower to administer. But we have a very good working relationship with public health and Matt Wyatt, and I think he knows that, he asks, he's not shy in asking when you know, when and if we can help with things. So if that's, we would definitely honor something like that if it were requested of us.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to discussion items, 7.01, 2020, 2021 calendar update.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to read a little bit about what I put in the board book, just because I think it's important for others to kind of hear the full context of this.
Josh, am I coming across clear enough? Okay, well, I'm gonna speak this with the mask down. You know, we've accumulated a total of 5 snow days this school year. I've had some people say that, you know, the average number of snow days in a year is about 3, but sometimes we have 5 and sometimes even more. But if we were to make up all our snow days, right now our schools would be in session a full additional week, and that would make the last day for students June 11th and last day for teachers June 14th, which puts them halfway through the month of June. I just got finished mentioning how our district has stayed in attendance. We had some iffy times back in November, but we have effectively been able to manage and navigate COVID. And I want to give so much credit to our teaching staff, because they truly are the ones that make it happen for us. Whatever rules we put in place, whatever we decided last July and August, they're the ones that, you know, we can model that behavior, but they're truly there working with kids. And it's been like a constant race, and I don't think some people comprehend the kind of stress level that's been on when there's a lot of unknown what will happen. There's been a lot of appreciation for the vaccinations, but it's just been a long race that we've been running. We've never had even a day off, not to mention even a 2-week hiatus, which a lot of districts around us had to ask for that from the state. We did not. We never went to a hybrid model where kids were doing every other day. We were able to avoid that, and we maintained, through the work of our teachers, remote learning option that stayed alive for them. So our teachers, for any of them that are listening, or any representatives of the teachers that are listening, I think they just need to understand how much we appreciate the work they've done, and how that work has helped us have this effective school year. Now, let's knock on wood, because we've got 2 more months. But I just much in the way of kudos goes to those teachers. I'm recommending that we alter the calendar at the end of this year. Now, typically, we make it very, very clear, it says in our calendars that snow days will be tacked on to the end of the year. Again, I think a lot of times people think, well, you know, average of 3 days, that's not that big of a deal. When it gets to 5, it starts seeming like more of a deal. And in a year where you're running a marathon nonstop, it's a real big deal. So what I'm proposing today is that we not make up the full 5 days, that we conclude the student days on Tuesday, the 8th of June, and then we conclude the teacher contract days on Wednesday, the 9th of June. And in effect, what we are doing then is we are honoring the financial contract of the teachers, but we are relieving them of 3 work days. Not something at all that is going to become a annual recommendation. We believe in setting a calendar and saying that's the calendar we believe in. Not that there isn't going to be other tweaks and adjustments, but considering this year, considering the impact of COVID, I think it's the right thing to do. I will mention also, you know, and we're in the process, Andrea and I are in the process of working with the teacher leadership on just going forward with any kind of salary negotiations. And of all years, it's just a challenging year financially, unfortunately, and you wish that would line up to where you could really show your appreciation for the hard work of the teachers going forward into next year with the contract we offer. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be one of those years. So all things point to this being a nice way to, in essence, compensate in a roundabout way teachers for their hard work. I want to mention this also. It's been a race, a marathon for our students. We cannot diminish that, and a lot of kudos to our kids for, you know, I mean, kids showing up, wearing masks, going through the mitigation efforts, trying, not that we don't have to make reminders, not that there's not an occasional conversation, but they've just been troopers. And I think there's going to get to a time, you know, we're going to facilitate graduation and the year's going to be mentally over for just about everyone. So I recommend this as the right thing to do. I think that our teachers surely deserve it. And again, it's an effort. You know, a couple of districts you may recall back at Thanksgiving made the Thanksgiving week an entire. They altered their calendar and made that a full week off, and they did not have work days on that week. So there are similarities in what other districts did that created for that mid-year. We didn't do that, so this is a way at the end of the year. Based on feedback I've received from parents, I think it's also going to be a little appreciated for those who like to get their summers rolling with vacations and whatnot. And again, that's not the reason of
Right.
doing it, but that is relative to the COVID year, because there weren't nearly as many vacations going on last year. I think people are hopeful that that's more of a thing this year, and they want to get the most out of the summer that they can. So again, the recommendation is to alter the contract to make Tuesday the last day with students and Wednesday, Tuesday, June 8th, the last day with students, and Wednesday, June 9th, the last contracted work day for teachers.
Is there any discussion?
Just out of curiosity, do we hit our hours if the Friday previous was our last day?
Dave, I think from what you've talked, I don't think Friday would.
Right now, we have about 4 days, student days that we can forgive. And in the proposal tonight, we're forgiving 3.
3, okay.
And there's some rhyme and reason to that too, especially at the high school end of things for final
Absolutely.
exams. I conferred with Dr. Binoff, and you know, just the idea, we really wouldn't want to spread finals over a weekend. Not
No.
that you couldn't do that, but
Understood, I just was
yeah.
curious.
yeah, it's just clean. This is the cleanest way
Cleanest.
to line it up and to relieve some days. But I appreciate the question.
Yep.
Amy.
There have been years where we've had more wiggle room. But this year, we actually shortened the elementary school day by 15 minutes to accommodate spreading kids out at the end of the day, handling dismissal differently.
Nope, I
And
see.
that 15 minutes adds up in a big way across the entire school year.
Any other comments, discussion? I do think that this is one way to let the teachers know that we are supportive of them that we appreciate everything that they have done. I mean, it was scary back in August to come back and you're with students and everything, and things worked out.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, this just chalks up to COVID-19, when last March, we went to school one day and didn't go back for the rest of the year. So I think this is an excellent idea that we can show that the board is supportive of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go on. 7.02, 403 series policy reviews, updates, and IASB alignments on the second read.
Yeah, so this was predominantly our 403 series in our process to align our entire policy book. We're making great headway. 400 series being something we've been on for a while because it's quite extensive. This is the second read for this series. It was brought last time as a first read, and focuses again on employees, primarily on employee policies, and nothing has changed since the first read, nor were there any suggestions. I think everything's pretty straightforward on all of these. And again, I feel like it's important to say these things because especially folks who are maybe online or visiting us that don't hear it at every meeting, that while these look extensive and look like major changes, really 95% are not. They're about updating legal references, updating language that's consistent with what IASB recommends because of, you know, whether it's federal law that has changed or what have you, and the language should change, or even just realigning numbers. And as I've said before, if all we were doing is realigning numbers, we really wouldn't even be bringing this to the board. That would just be something that we'd be doing on our own. But since we're doing the review, I add those in as well. So nothing extensive here, and apparently pretty straightforward because I haven't been receiving any questions or concerns about these.
Is there any questions or discussion about the 403 series policy on the second read? All right, we'll go to 7.03, 404, 405, and 406 policy reviews, updates, and IASB alignments on the first read.
So this is the next series, which the good news is the 404s and the 405s were, well, 406 as well, are very small pieces. So I put all three in there, divided them accordingly. And actually 406 would be extremely small. We would actually, because of number alignments and some duplications, we would actually be doing away with an entire 406 series. But you'll see it's not that those things aren't in policy, they're just covered elsewhere now. And so there are some added IASB pieces at the end that Andrea has reviewed with Jenny regarding some of our HR pieces, and those are added, so it leaves a 406. But the 404, 405, and 406 series are very small. And again, nothing of any real significance to focus on in these recommended changes as a first read, so we can take any and all suggestions or things to consider between now and the second read, and I can bring those back to the board accordingly at the next meeting, where we'll do a second read.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion on those policies on the first read? And contact Dr. Knost if you see or you think of something.
Don't hesitate, even if it's just a clarification.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll go to 7.04, sanitation lift station generator purchase.
Yeah, so really bringing this back to see if we want to move forward or just stay with our status quo. I've updated the board on 2 different occasions since the last time this came through, trying to answer some questions that came my way. I think the original night that we discussed this, the biggest part of our discussion had to do with the amount of time we have. I think, Brian, I think you had asked the question, we specified whether or not we were accurate in estimating a 24-hour period, and I think the thought process was, we have 24 hours, that's a pretty decent amount of time. In further review, Andrea helped with this, we went back and looked at all of our bills according to this, and got some more feedback from appropriate people like Mark Christensen, who's usually the one heading to the scene when something happens, when a power outage occurs. And what we've learned is that we have, even in my time here, we've had a number of instances where within a matter of a short number of hours, we needed to act. And spending $1,000 one time, a couple $1,000 another time. There was a situation prior to me arriving in, I think it was 2016, Andrea? Maybe 2018, where due to some work on an electrical switch, the power to the pump station had to be out for, I think it was 5 days, if I remember right. In that 5 days' time, we had to contract out, and the school district spent over $16,000 in that time to compensate for that electrical outage, which would not have been necessary had we had a generator hardwired, installed, and running. The other thing that Daryl and I had a conversation about was to look at the concept of a portable generator that the district would keep in. And Randy spent a lot of time with that and looking at how that would be facilitated, the need for that to be a trailered generator for getting it, who would do it. We still have issues of notification. No system in place that would notify us if it's like a, 11:30 at night and it's power specific to the pump station, maybe not a mass outage. Additionally, the interface, so a portable could plug in, and what we were quickly finding out is that there was much of a cost savings on that, and Randy can maybe speak more to that when I turn this over to him. So the recommendation stands from the administration, but I want to real clear to the board, but obviously it's the board that makes this determination, and I'm perfectly comfortable with whatever the will of the board is. I just either wanted to move forward on this. We tabled it, it's been hanging out there, so either move forward with it, or we'll continue to practice as we have, with a bit of caution and an understanding that there will be more dollars expended to situations when we need to, to manually operate and bring, have a manual pump done from an outside agency. And I think it is fair to say that over time, we will truly spend this amount of money without the wired installed generator. So, but again, if the board prefers that we practice as we have been, that's absolutely fine. I just thought it was time to either move on it or to just dismiss it, and that's what the board can do. So, Randy, that's probably more than I needed to say. I should have turned it over to you earlier. I know you've got a guest here. If there's any questions for him, I'll let you run with it.
Yeah, no, Dr. Knox, you hit all the bullet points. I want to introduce you to Pat Henry. He's with PowerTech. He's the generator of the quote, the original quote for $29,500. Then the other one for $47,000 to go to a trailer, a mobile unit. I want you to also know that Bluffs Electric, they provided the quote for a trailer, a portable unit for $41,985, which is a lot less than going with our original quote from PowerTech. So nothing's changed. We've done some homework. Andrea and DK have crunched those numbers from the past, and there's a lot of technical questions. Pat Henry from PowerTech will assist me in answering those highly technical questions. So, with that,
Thought out. So, we have lift station at the middle school. Are we gonna have to have a lift station at the operations building?
no. No.
The- We do, I know last time we had some discussion about the high school.
The high school, yeah, yeah. So
But-
Bob, to that point, last time there was a question and, there's a need, and there's a need at the high school. And that, I think that perpetrated the thought, well, maybe we should go mobile, go to both. But that's the only other lift station that we don't have.
And,
emergency
and am
power.
I correct in saying, Randy, that historically in what we've looked at, the high school situation, I don't know if I can speak to this from a technical standpoint. I can't speak to it from a technical standpoint.
okay.
so, But it seems that the high school is not near the issue that the middle school
Correct.
is. That's where we seem to always have our issues.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a reason for that.
Well, there's, the other, to your point, DK, is Brian was thinking, which would be the priority, the high school or the one behind the middle school? And that is the middle school, and Bob, I don't think you were here, but the thought process there was that you got everything going from here down there to that lift station. So,
So it would be used more than the high school one?
it's a bigger risk. Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
We spent a lot less money
Yeah.
managing issues with the high school, a lot less managing issues with the high school.
And,
The high
and,
school's lift station just serves the high school.
Right.
yeah.
So it actually gravity flies from the high school lift station down to the one at the middle school?
No, I think Daryl from the high school, the lift station goes out to the main.
Okay, so,
So it comes gravity.
so we're using a lift station. When the power goes down at high school, is the lift station involved? How many hours before it becomes critical?
I'd be pulling something out of your ear, Daryl. I didn't ask Chuck that when it happened.
Okay. Because the lift station's a lift station. I mean.
Different
it means it's-
sizes.
It means it's not gonna gravity,
Different sizes, different flow rates, different
So there's-
GPM as you're familiar with.
right? So, when the power goes out, there's priority, I mean, to get it up and running, whether it be a permanent gen set on a concrete pad or a portable. And if it's, are we eventually looking at 2 generator units?
I think, based upon Brian's questions too, and your assessment right now, I would look at doing 2. Maybe
Well,
we do
that's-
this one, cover the risk this year, this summer on this one, and then put it on our 5-year plan, and we can do it next spring.
Okay, the one at the high school, how many KW does that take?
That'd be a 20 KW, I think. Doesn't that sound right, Pat? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, next question. How often do they both go down at the same time? No one knows.
Nah.
No,
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't-
know. But I do know that we lost power last summer at the high school, but we did not lose power at the middle school. That happened one time.
Last summer was the only awareness I've had of the high school situation. And I think historically that's been the case. Again, I can't explain technically why that's the case. If it's flow, I don't know. Daryl, you definitely know a lot more than I do.
And localized power outage at a point at the school, someone feeding that versus the grid in America going down.
Yeah.
Well, I know we had a lot of issues with the switchgear at the middle school that caused considerable problems with power capacity and power, and we did a lot of upgrades to overcome that issue. So hopefully that eliminates some of those middle school outages.
I think that was,
Because I know that was the
That was
bulk
the-
of the times that I can recall that we had issues with power. Because in theory, if we don't have power at the high school, we probably aren't having school at the high school. because almost everything they do requires power, you know, and you have to have lights and everything to be in the school, so I would assume that in itself is gonna reduce our,
Sure.
you know, that reduces your load from a high number to a very low number.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I understand what we're saying, but, you know, I guess I would be more supportive of doing something at the middle school if I didn't realize that that was the flow point from these buildings. Just surprised that if we don't have to have a lift station at the operations center, why we wouldn't look at moving our connection point to that sewer so we eliminate the lift station completely, because if that point's made a gravity flow, I would think that we would be able to get a gravity flow from the middle school.
Or do they all feed to the same lift station?
I don't believe they feed to the lift station. I haven't seen that. Seen that.
I guess I thought the operations center wasn't tied into,
The operations center is a lot higher than the lift station in the back. There's a difference. I don't know what that height difference is, but it's a lot higher.
Yeah.
But there's-
I'd be supportive of going ahead with what
The
we're
high school has
talking
4
about.
grades, you know that, I know you know that. Titan Hill and middle school, between the two, there's 7 grades. And the ops building wouldn't be a
Minimal.
load at all.
Yeah, minimal, no
Low,
student
so.
population. And
Double check that.
for the majority of the day, not occupied by a lot of people either, the ops building. But again, I want to reiterate, this is, came forward because it's a reoccurring issue and concern at the middle school. But this is how we've been operating. We've been operating as we have been, and if it's the board's preference to continue in that manner, we can certainly do that. I mean, we can certainly do that. I think it's the right thing when we have a recommendation to bring it to the board for your governance, and it's the right thing for us to accept the governance of the board. So you can have a vote on it tonight and determine, or if board president feels that based on conversation, we should just let it go, we can table it again and we won't bring it back to you.
Let me just throw this out there because I do a lot of things on my own, a lot of my own fabrication work. I probably wouldn't spend $41,000 on a portable gen set. If I found a stationary one, I would buy the stationary and I would mount on a trailer. I could afford to go buy a new trailer for $3,500, set that gen set on the trailer with the fuel tank, I'm done. I just think if we have a need for 2 places, then it should be portable. It's just my thought that, eventually we're gonna spend $60,000 for generators for something we use once in a while. And not all the time do we use them together. I mean, if we find out that we have a bad power outage at them and we have to go rent a gen set, park it down there and use it, I really don't know why it can't be wired up. I mean, something has to be wired to something anyway. So the wiring that's just part of the package. I just have trouble spending that kind of money just in one spot, and we're gonna spend money in another spot, and why can't we just go buy a trailer and put out a trailer? I would do it at home. I've done things like that at
Right.
home, so.
If this is hardwired, would it automatically start if it goes down? Would it notify people?
So this generator setup where it's watching utility all the time, utility power fails, it starts the generator comes up to speed, and it transfers over. That all happens within 10 seconds, you got power back on, and you're running. That's how the transfer switches work, the automatic power, it's good for 15, 20 minutes. It says it's solid, it goes ahead and transfers back. The generator runs for a 5-minute cool down and it shuts off. And it's ready to run again with no interface. That's what the stationary gen set. The trailer mounted gen sets, we've done stuff similar to this. And, we've gotta make sure the voltages are the same as both pump stations. And then they're 3-phase, you gotta make sure your phase is right. It's all stuff that can be accomplished. It's just, I just wanted to let you know what's all involved, go down that road. And, we put gen sets on trailers. The gen set we quoted was an actual, what they call it's a mobile generator, it's multi-voltage, you can use it most anywhere in your district, you can use it for homecoming events, whatever, it's got different caps on it, so you can get different voltages. But that's one of the, things to keep in mind, we go the trailer route with a 3-phase generator, make it certain we don't turn pumps backwards, make sure we're turning breakers on in the right sequence, making sure we got utility power disconnected because it's off, so we hook it up, making sure we're not beating Mid-American Energy with our generator. Just little things to keep in mind, which are all overcomable, so we just wanna, just trying to lay it all out there. With the automatic one, it does nothing.
I have a question or two on, if we go this route and get the stationary generator, what's the lifetime usage and maintenance and upkeep? Is that going to be something that's consistent every year that we need to work on and spend more money on?
Yeah, we have a PM set up. We get a PM set up, and that's twice a year, but the life expectancy,
We see generators out there that are 20 years old, you know. The stationary gen set like that doesn't get worn out. It just gets old to the point that it just comes time to replace it, whether they're doing something with their, sewer system 20 years down the road, 30 years, so you just change it out, or whether it's a maintenance item, 30 years, 40 years down the road, but it's usually you don't see them get worn out. They're running, half hour a week for exercise, and then plus any outage you have. So it's not uncommon to see Mercy standby generators with well less than 1,000 hours being.
And what's this generator gonna be fueled by?
What's that?
Is it natural gas fueled then?
This one's diesel. Diesel fuel. It's got its own sub-base tank, it's sized to run 24 hours. At full load. And then, we did, so it's, got alarms on it, gets hit half a tank, will alarm you saying, hey, I've got, 12 hours left. Generally speaking, we set up that way, because if you're out of power and running, so there's bells in town, so it gives you 12 hours to get a truck out and get it filled up.
Is there, but then they notify, or there's can be some notification that, if power goes out and, I don't know, how much is the lift station used overnight? Power goes out at 2 AM. Do you not find out until the next morning? What?
no, what happens now, from my understanding, is if there's a blip in power, people will drive, Mark Christensen lives real close, and he'll drive down there to see what's going on. He'll physically drive to the back of the middle
Okay.
school.
So at 2 AM, power goes out, he would probably come down and then he'd have to pull out the trailer, hook it all up, do the switches in order and all of that kind of stuff, correct?
On a manual, on a trailer.
Right, on a trailer. Otherwise, power goes out, it would go ahead and automatic start, and no one would have to come
We'll get- no.
manually do it.
And Daryl, you may be able to help answer this as well, but there are some scenarios when, clearly, if we have a full power outage, we're gonna have some notification of that. I mean, if the whole district's going out or the whole campus is going out. But there are some scenarios where the power could just be affected to that pump station, where that would maybe be, I assume, and again, I'm asking you in your intelligence to tell me if I'm wrong, I assume that that's where we potentially have some trouble. If it's 11:30 at night and something's going wrong with the power specifically to that pump station, but we don't have a full power outage, and we don't have an alarm set up, or we don't know what's going on, and we find out we're dealing with that in the morning. Is that a legitimate concern?
I don't know how that would happen unless a raccoon got in the building and ate the feeder wires going
Well,
to the,
Yeah.
But even if the
station.
one building went down, if middle school went down, that's the concern.
Yeah,
And
that's
if
where the power
lift
source is.
station isn't working, doesn't everything back up?
yeah,
And then we would have a potential,
yeah. Then we're calling people and doing the CB septic system and calling them out and with the.
Mark's always been the
rock
one
truck.
that
That's from my understanding.
shows
but-
up. Well, he is, because he's, even prior to you, Randy, he would be the one who would call me. The first time we'd have a power outage, he'd call me and tell me I'm on the way to monitor the pump
Yeah.
station. And he would make the call to have it pumped from an
Yeah.
external source
Yep, that's what happens.
when needed. He's literally just looking at it, right?
Right, so now in this scenario, it's not Mark, it's me, it's Chuck, it's Floyd, it's, could be Mark, could be DK, could be the president of the school board if they wanna be on that notification too. But it's a team, it's a team of people in the know, and, we'll get plenty of training on what to do, and we'll know where to buy fuel for it, the diesel, so we'll know, hey, we got a 70-gallon tank and it's a 24-hour tank, like Pat said, okay. But we know it's not panic, it's not.
with
we're
having this,
good.
there wouldn't be any panic.
No. Well, I'm gonna say 99.9, because if
Absolutely.
something happened, then I'd be sitting here and saying, well, Randy, you said.
Right.
So,
So I guess I'm getting it from you guys. Do we have enough information to decide on this tonight? Do we want to wait until the power goes out? They continue with doing what they're doing, the power goes out, and we deal with it another time? What do you think?
I think the research has been done, it's time to move forward with it.
Okay, so everyone okay for bringing this to a vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? All right, thank you. We have 7.05, we have multiple late file open enrollment requests. We, through Iowa Code 21.51A, closed session is appropriate to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential. And so with that, can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? And we will come out of closed session, do action items, and then we'll go back into closed session for the evaluation. All right, vote please.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. are back from closed session, and we'll go on to comments and suggestions. This is the second time during our agenda that anyone in the audience or online listening can address the board. Is there any comments online? All right. We'll go on to action items. 9.01, 2021 to 2022 calendar update. Is that
Madam
correct?
Chairwoman.
No, it should be 2020 to 2021 calendar update.
Yes, thank you, and I meant to tell you that.
That's okay,
That
I
was a-
just,
That should be consistent with what's under the discussion items.
correct,
Yeah.
correct, and it's for this year.
Right.
Not for next year.
Correct, thank you.
So, we will do the 2020, 2021 calendar update. Can I get a motion, please?
Madam Chairman,
Mr. Hendricks?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendation to make Tuesday, June 8th, the last student attendance day, and Wednesday, June 9th, the last contracted teacher workday for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
And we have a second. Is there any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Wyledge,
Yes.
Ms. Atkins,
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mr. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel,
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Yes. 9.02, 403 series, policy reviews, updates, and IASB alignments on the second read.
Madam Chairwoman,
Mr. Hendricks?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the presented policies included in the 403, 405, 410, 411, and 413 series and all the accompanying regulations and exhibits on the second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Wyledge,
Yes.
Ms. Atkins,
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mr. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel,
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Yes. 9.03, 404, 405, and 406 policy reviews, updates, and IASB alignments on the first read.
Madam Chairwoman,
Mr. Hendricks?
I'd like to make a motion to approve presented policies included in the 404, 405, and 406 series and all accompanying regulations and exhibits on the first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Ms. Atkins,
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mr. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel,
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Wyledge,
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Yes. 9.04 sanitation lift station generator purchase.
Madam Chairwoman,
Mr. Hendricks?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Power Tech for the purchase and installation of an emergency generator for our middle school sanitary lift station at the amount of $29,500.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mr. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel,
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Wyledge,
Yes.
Ms. Atkins,
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Yes. 9.05 multiple late filed open enroll requests. I'd like to get a motion for student A.
Madam Chairwoman,
Mr. Hendricks?
I'd like to make a motion to deny student A's open enroll request presented in closed session.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel,
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Wyledge,
Yes.
Ms. Atkins,
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Yes. Open enroll request for student B.
Madam Chairwoman,
Mr. Hendricks?
I'd like to make a motion to deny student B's open enroll request presented in closed session also.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mrs. McDaniel,
Yes.
Mr. Stopper,
Yes.
Mr. Wyledge,
Yes.
Ms. Atkins,
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mr. Houston,
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Yes. 9.06 approval of 2020-2021 budget and certified levies presented at the March 22nd, 2021 meeting and public hearing.
Can I ask how you just read that? My apologies, it is Should be the
I'm sorry, what?
Can I ask how you just read that? It is stated incorrect on the agenda. It should be the 2021, 2022 budget.
All right, so I need a
We
motion.
just flip-flopped the
Madam
calendar.
Chairwoman.
Okay, we'll let you go, Mr. Hendricks.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed levies and adopt the 2021-2022 budget as presented and published with the direction of the board secretary filed the adopted budget and levies no later than April 15, 2021 with both the State of Iowa Department of Management and the Potawatomi County Auditor.
Second. Any discussion?
It's quite the drop.
Okay, vote please.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Wyledge?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. And now we do have items of future interest, which would be, our next board meeting will be April 19th, 2021, starting at 6:30 as of now. And now we will go back to 7.06, closed session to discuss superintendent's evaluation, which he has requested be in closed session. And can I get a vote, please? Or a motion, please?
Madam Chairwoman,
Mr. Hendricks?
I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session for superintendent evaluation.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote, please.
Mr. Wyledge?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer? Mrs. Shuffle?
Yes. And we will wait a few minutes for